I'm a very positive person, but I worry as well. So like I'm always worried like if this change, what could happen if this change? But I typically accept the change because change is gonna happen. So just being adaptable, being able to flow like water, being open to new things, new people, new experiences. That's in my opinion, that's the I don't want to say the best way to live, but it's a it helps me think in a positive light.
Welcome to another episode of the Layover Podcast. My name's Bree. I'm your host, and today we have George with us. What's up, George?
What's going on? How you doing?
Good. Glad to have you here. Finally.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here. Finally was able to get it set up, get it squared away. Excited to be here.
One of the reasons I really wanted to talk to you is because I feel like if somebody's a flight attendant for more than a year and a half, the question comes up of like, should they go into something else? Should they go into a different department? And I've seen you be someone who's done that multiple times. So I feel like you'll
Mhm.
have a lot to bring to the table today.
For sure. So, for me, yeah, I started at PSA. I was a flight attendant for a year and a half, and it's kind of funny how I even got started. I didn't really being a flight attendant wasn't on my radar, but a friend of mine, she just kind of recommended it to me, and I'm like, oh, well, that seems interesting. And then once I started like looking up videos, I'm like, oh no, this is really something that I would want to do. So for a couple years, I was just looking around, finding places to get to. I had a face to face with Delta, and other airlines, but I landed on PSA. It was really exciting. I flew for like I mentioned, like a year and a couple months. It was fun, different from your normal work schedule. But after the year and a half, my wants started to kind of change. So I still enjoyed flying. I miss flying, but as I'm getting a little bit older, I just kind of want to be a little bit home more, want to be around friends. And I think that's just because personally, outside of work, I do a lot of events, or not events, but a lot of like hobbies. I do photography. I play sports every now and then. I like to referee basketball as well. So I'm a very busy person. And although I really enjoyed flying, I kind of wanted to kind of get back to like what made me and those outside events kind of made me who I was. So decided to transfer into a different role. So yeah, definitely that year and a half, how you mentioned, it definitely starts to make you feel like it makes you think, all right, is this something I want to continue doing, or do I want to go to a different place?
Yeah, what was that process like? Because I know of flight attendants who are like, yeah, in about a month I'm done with this. Like I'm done flying. But then they just quit flying. It sounds like for you, you were thinking, oh, I'm starting to get tired of this. I kind of have other things I'm interested in, and you made a pivot instead. Why did you
Mhm.
choose that route?
Because I wanted to stay within aviation. Every time I thought about what I would want to do outside of aviation, it just always kind of brought me back. And believe it or not, I don't use my flight benefits as much. And I always tell people PSA isn't perfect, but it's kind of like perfect for me in a sense that like I enjoy the people here. So if I leave, I lose those connections. So before I left the line, I wanted to look into the like what can I do internally. And during that time, I was a flight attendant. I also became a check flight attendant for the last I think 4 or 5 months. So with me doing that, training new flight attendants coming to the line, and also just kind of guiding the flight attendants that were already on the line, I kind of developed a passion or a liking to like leading or guiding or training. So
Mhm.
at the time I was weighing this decision. I seen an in-flight not a in-flight supervisor, but in-flight trainer position open up. So let me test my luck here. So I applied, and then everything worked out. Went through the interview process, and I was selected. So that's when I transferred from being a flight attendant into the world of instructing.
Mm. I wonder, I know there are some flight attendants who've been flight attendants for years, but have never been a check flight. Maybe this is
Mhm.
just because, like you said, you're a pretty active person in general, but why did you decide to be a check flight?
So the initial reason of me wanting to become a check flight, and I'm not going to say any names, but I seen check flights. It was more than one occasion. I seen check flights who I'll just say I don't think they were conveying information in a way that will be helpful to somebody who's new to being a flight attendant. As we both know, because we both went through IOE, you're really nervous. Like that's the best way to put it. You're extremely nervous. Not only are you in front of passengers, you're now receiving information in a way that would just kind of frazzle you and not really help you. And whenever I was on the plane in that moment, I always used a small time that I had with the student. Like, hey, like it's okay, just take your time. Just
Hmm.
this is what they're saying. And this is what they're saying. And I didn't want to cross the boundary of that check flight attendant because I'm not a check at the time I was a check flight attendant. So it's really not my job, I would say, to ensure they get the information. But me being the person that I am, I didn't want a person to not be able to live out a dream that might have been theirs because because of not information not being explained well or
Hmm.
something like that. So that's what kind of sparked my interest at first. And yeah, so that's when I applied. I'm like, I can probably make a little bit of a difference out here on the line. It was really fun. It was really fun being a check flight attendant.
Hmm.
Um, my goal was never to call out people or get people in trouble or even like just get something on their record because that's messing with people's livelihoods. I went in there with the mindset of like just let me see that you're doing your job. We can discuss certain things, but if you're breaking FARs or just going completely against what PSA is intending us to do, then we have a conversation. But it was really my goal just to kind of help, saying instill the culture into the new flight attendants coming in
Hmm.
from the line, and then also kind of help the people or guide people who may be on the line that's kind of getting away from standard SOP. So yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. It's like you saw something that you could make better and you went for it. And I think
hmm
that's a certain level of awareness of yourself and of your
hmm
surroundings, and that helped you advance in some way. Because it sounds to me like you didn't, like you said, you weren't even being a flight attendant wasn't on your radar. So someone recommends it
hmm
to you, you do your research, and then being a check flight wasn't on your radar. But then you're like, huh,
hmm
I could probably do
Yeah.
a little bit better than this. And
hmm
then the training center, you're like, my life is changing. So you're kind of just, it sounds like you're very adaptable.
Yeah. I mean, in it all, that's kind of what embodies what a flight attendant is when you really think about it. Because think back to your time as a reserve, right?
Oh Lord,
You're you
a
get put
lot of
on a
adapting.
you yes, you get put on a flight. I'm like, okay, I'm going here. And you get that call from the crew scheduling, and they say, no, you're not going there. Now you're going here. So just remaining open to change, and that's kind of just like the philosophy I live by. I'm a very positive person, but I worry as well. So like I'm always worried like if this change, what could happen if this change? But I typically accept the change because change is gonna happen. So just being adaptable, being able to flow like water, being open to new things, new people, new experiences. That's in my opinion, that's the I don't want to say the best way to live, but it's a it helps me think in a positive light when you're just being open instead of just being stuck in a box all the time.
You sound like Bruce Lee. You doing some Bruce Lee stuff. Be like water.
Yeah, it'd be like water, be fluid. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not, but as you were saying, being open to change is like, on the one hand, you don't know, like, is it going to be a good change or a bad change? I know you said you're positive, so that probably helps you navigate it. But have you ever made a change where you're like, dang, I regret this, or maybe I didn't want this position, or how has that been changing positions?
Are you speaking from just my time here at PSA or just in general?
Maybe your time in aviation, whether it's
Time
PSA
in
or whatever.
aviation.
Yeah.
So my time in aviation is just with PSA. I don't think, no, I don't have any regrets because I've enjoyed every position that I've had and I try to do my best in each position. There's not a time there's not a time where I'm like, man, I probably shouldn't have taken any position that I have now. So currently, I'm an onboarding coordinator for the pilots. Prior to this, I was an in-flight instructor, as you mentioned, and then and before that, I was a flight attendant. But each position I've taken a stride. There's some good, some bad, some goods, some positives, some negatives to each aspect. But I don't regret nothing. No.
Wow, I think that's a lot of people's fear of making a transition is, well, I guess you're still in aviation, so you still have your flight benefits, even though you say you don't use them that much, which, what's going on?
So, funny story. When I first came out into the line and I was talking to, the senior people or people that's just been here longer than me, I was like, yeah, do you use your flight benefits? Where do you go? They was like, listen, I work on a plane. I do not want to be on a plane when I'm not
Mm.
working. And my naive mind was like, oh, you guys are crazy. I'm about to use my flight benefit, da da da. Let me tell you, after my first month, because I don't know why, my first month at Dayton, I did 6 days working, 1 day off, six
Oof,
days working.
no, no, no.
Let me tell you, that week I thought I was gonna fly somewhere. I was home. I didn't fly anywhere.
No, for real.
But for this my time in training, I had the opportunity to kind of travel more, but it was still really like busy because I had to be there on Monday. This being a trainer, it's not like, oh, you can just kind of show up at any point or I can work from home. So, and I didn't like the leave on Friday, come back on Sunday
Mm,
mindset. So I just didn't make it a priority. I'll just say that. I didn't make it a priority to travel. Now I try to travel a little bit more. My position is a little bit more flexible, a little more fluid. So I try to go on day trips when I can. New York a little bit more without the worry because if I can't get back on Sunday, I can just
right.
work from home on Monday. So
Yeah, can we talk about that a little bit? So, like flying, your schedule could be you could work nights, you could work days, you could work weekends, you work
mm,
weekdays.
mm,
Whereas I think probably when you first transition to the training department, it's a little bit more of a consistent, what are we talking,
mm,
9 to 5, 10 to 6, I don't know. But
yeah.
you want to talk
So
about how
that's
it is?
Yeah, so the thing, so the standard is 8 to 5,
Okay.
right? The standard is 8 to 5, depending on the company needs, how many students need to come rolling in. Typically, we start classes every 2 weeks. So let's say Monday this week we start a class, 2 Mondays from now we start another class. But if we need more students, we adjust the time. So we'd have to come in from 6 to 3, we still have to do like recurrent. So if we don't have enough people for recurrent, we got to push it to the weekend. So you could potentially work some weekends, Saturday and Sunday, 8 to 5, just things like that. So the standard expectation is 8 to 5. And then you could work weekends. You could get pushed from a 3 to midnight class, depending on how many classes you got rolling.
Hmm.
There was something that you had mentioned earlier about making the transition from flight attending to into the office. There is one thing. So one thing that was part of my decision initially, when I was making my transition from flight attendant to instructor, will I lose my seniority? And like my flight attendant, I keep my number, but I don't keep my seniority. Good thing about being on the instructor side is I don't lose my seniority. So like if I wanted to work in the training department for 3 or 4 years, up to 5 years, I can still accruing seniority. So if I waited till that 4.5 mark, whenever I came back, my seniority was still accrued, and I would have been a 5 year flight attendant. So
Ah.
I've been able to push up with the position I'm currently in. I lose my flight attendant number. So I've been in this position for years. So like now, if I go back to the line, I have to go through new hire training, and I got to start over as a fresh flight attendant for the first
Mm.
time. And initially, when I was leaving from flight attending, if I had to do that at that moment, I probably wouldn't have because I was still on the verge of like I might go back to flying, I might not. But during my time as an instructor, I had a kid. So now that decision is kind of easy because
Mm.
I'm not gonna be gone for 2, 3, maybe 4 days, potentially 5, depending on company needs. When I have my baby boy at home. So depending on the position, I believe it's MSS. MSS, you won't have that opportunity to keep your
What's
flight attendant
MSS?
on. I don't know the exact answer for the acronym, but it more kind of designs for like management. Now, I'm not in management, but they just group those positions under that code.
Got it.
So yeah. Hmm.
Okay. So
Hmm.
transitioning into the training department was kind of a flex position where if you felt like, okay, I've done this and I want to go back flying, you had that door open. And as you
Hmm.
start to go up the ladder in the office, that option to go back to being a flight attendant, you can still do it, but you lose a little bit of momentum in
Yeah,
that other direction. Got it.
I think for some time, just being home, I was spoiled during my time as an instructor. So like, although I still have my love and my passion for flight attending, you just can't. in my for me, you just can't beat being at home. You know, you just can't beat being at home, and it might be different for others. It might be different for others. Some people enjoy the opportunity to get away, see different cities, be around people. And I still enjoy those things, but I do kind of like being at home, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's good that you have that self-awareness. I mean, that's kind of what started you
Hmm.
on the journey of looking at other things in the first place. Is like, I
Hmm.
kind of have these things I like, and flying is cool, but
Hmm.
yeah. What would you say to a new flight attendant who is considering going the corporate route?
Going the corporate route.
Yeah.
I'm always gonna be follow what your gut says. All right, it'll be different for everybody. Everybody's life situations are different, but for the perfect candidate who is just wanting to see the other side of it, I recommend just take a chance, right? Whenever you find a position that you want to do, make sure you research it, find out who's in that position, or if you're taking over a position of somebody else that may have transferred to a different position or even left the company before they leave, just kind of reach out. Hey, what was this position like? What can I expect? How was management? What are some things that I'll be doing to kind of set that expectation in their mind so like they would never know until they get into it, but it sets them up for the best success to try see where see where their future could go. So I'm really big on like growing, and if there's an opportunity for you, if you want to stay within a company, you definitely take that chance to just find your ways, find where you fit in, talk to people, make influences and relationships. What I'll also say is if you are wanting to seek different opportunities, make sure you have a clean record as far as like reliability points, as far as your engagement with your supervisors, because that plays a major part in it. I myself, I only had one no show, but it was like super early, and it was my fault because I didn't know how to properly call out.
Mm.
Um, but I mean, that rolled off by the time it rolled around. I wasn't high in points. So that's the main thing. That's honestly the main thing that I would say too. If that's something that you look forward to, make sure you have a clean record, show up on time, be positive. I'm not saying be happy go lucky or be a like just hi. I'm like no,
Right.
like be yourself, be authentic, but show up and show up for your best self. When I was a trainer, I always told the flight attendants, if you want to be the flight attendant for your passengers, if you are a passenger and you want that and how you want that flight attendant to treat you. So like,
Mhm.
what are some of the things that you would want your flight attendant to do on your flight if you're a passenger? Just do those same things, hold yourself to that same standard. So, but yeah.
You make a good point about the reliability points. I remember I had taken a voluntary leave of absence. And I
Mm,
didn't know I was getting assigned to recurrent because I was on leave of absence. And so I was getting no shows each day for
really?
recurrent. Yes. Eventually they were able to take some of those points off, but that put me back because some of them still stayed on there. And so like if I wanted to apply for a training position or even to be a check flight, it's like
Mm,
they don't want me as a check flight if I have 4 points, you know? So like
yeah.
I think that's a really good point of just like if you want to work in the office,
Mm,
that's where that stuff really does matter. Like it's a record for a reason, so they can kind of see like how you work, how reliable you are, stuff like that.
But I would even say once you have those points, I'm not saying that like you're exiled and you can never do it. But I'll also say if there's a place that you want to go, kind of reach out to that management team and say, hey, this is my plan. Currently, this is where I'm sitting, this is where I'm standing, but my ultimate goal is to clean this up and be a part of your team if possible.
Mm.
Just kind of setting it up to give you the opportunity to like, hey, like they told me they're gonna do this. Let's see what they do in that time frame. Oh, they did that in this time frame. There's a position open. This person stuck to their word and they did what they were supposed to do. So I just say that because I've had a few people reach out. I know we talked too, but have others reached out about potentially transferring over, and they tell me they're like, "Oh yeah, I have a written warning or 10 points,"
Yeah.
or and I'm just like, what are you gonna do to better that? Because
Mm.
right now it's not the best, but we can change. But what can we do to make it better? It's gonna take time, so it's gonna take at least maybe a year and a half
Right.
because of that rolling calendar. But I mean, that's what we'd have to do to kind of say get you in a better standing or in a good standing to be able to transfer over and do the things that you want to do. So
Yeah, I think
yeah.
it's also really interesting what you're saying about relationships because that it wouldn't be my instinct to like say, "Oh, I want to work in recruiting. Let me just send so and so an email that I know maybe I'm
Hmm.
not properly there now, but that it's my intention." I may not have thought of that, so I think that's
Hmm.
been smart. And I mean, no, knowing you, I met you when we weren't flight attendants. You were in the training
Hmm.
department, so like
Hmm.
now we're friends because of that. So yeah, I think you
Hmm.
make a good point about relationships in that way.
Yeah, for sure. You just never know who you talk to. You never know who you'd run into. Funny enough, yesterday, I'm sure you know that we have our new headquarters in Charlotte, and I'm just at the printing station, and I was able to have a 10 minute conversation randomly with Dean, right? Just he telling about the city, mentioned a few places, but you just never know kind of like who you run into or what happened,
Did
and
you tell
probably
him it was your
nothing.
intention to be CEO in a few years?
No, I didn't tell her that time. No, no, I didn't tell her that.
Okay.
Um, but I don't know. Maybe nothing probably would ever mature from that conversation. But just being able to just be open to have those conversations and just let them know, hey, this is what I'm saying. I kind of sparked the conversation, just saying, hey, thank you for transferring this over here because I'm enjoying this new building and the
Mm,
opportunities it could bring, and just kind of left it at that.
yeah.
But relationships is a big thing. Just talking to people, and I don't say that in a sense to like use people, but just conversations, right? Because you never know. Just a conversation I had with someone when I was a flight attendant still sits to me. She was flying, and unfortunately, she was leaving from wherever she was because of her son's passing. And if I didn't take the second to like we just because I know, hey, are you okay? And she was kind of just went on a spill because she probably just really needed somebody to ask them if they were okay, and we just had like a really like good moment. And she asked me for a hug, and every
Mm,
now and then I always think of that. Like you never know, kind of know what people's going through, or so I always just have conversations with people, think ahead, and just reach out. So
listening to you, I get this sense of the importance of being in touch. Like you're in touch with maybe this opportunity, or you're in touch with how you're changing and you're in touch with the people
Mhm.
around you. What helps you keep that up?
Honestly, it's just something that came natural to me. And if I'm being honest, it kind of cultivated more during my time as a flight attendant,
Hmm.
because you're always around people. You're around new flight attendants almost every day, depending on
Mm,
if who's scheduling is changing them. You're around 60 to 80 people or 76 people every day,
mhm,
and you're just talking, right? And I always believe you kind of you choose the kind of flight attendant you want to be, just one that doesn't talk to anybody or one that like just that's reached that talks to people and just kind of figuring out people around you, just learning, just talking, kind of building yourself up. So that piece of being around people all the time and wanting to connect with people helped me cultivate the naturalness of just reaching out, seeing people, talking to them, asking them how they're doing, or
mhm,
what's new, or what are you reading now? Oh,
mhm,
I seen you did this last week. How did that go? Or you mentioned you were doing this with your family. Was that fun? And just kind of always building that kind of rapport, just get to know people.
mm. I like it. I like it. I just have one more concern before we wrap up.
Hmm.
Okay, so watching you from the outside, you've gone through three positions now, and they're all going this upward way. So
Hmm.
I might look and I'm like, dang, George is moving and shaking. Like he's climbing to the
Hmm.
top. You can be talking to Dion now at the so
Hmm.
you already know. So I may think like this guy's ambitious. He might have started from the beginning and said, this is where I want to go, and you're like climbing the ladder. Is that the case? And how ambitious do you think you have to be to go from being cabin crew to working in the corporate office?
It really just it really just comes down to what you want for yourself, like what you want. And it's not necessary to scale up. I know you jokingly said it. I don't right now see myself wanting to be CEO of a company. That's way too much responsibility for my mentals, right? But like if opportunities present themselves and it's kind of with what I want to do as far as like with my life goals and it fits into my life, then yeah, I'll take the step. But it's perfectly okay being a flight attendant and using that as your career because flight attending is amazing. I would never, ever, ever, ever talk down about flight attending. There are some rough patches. There are some rough patches. There are some things that I 100% agree need to be updated, changed, just to make better for the livelihood of flight attending. But flight attendant, man, flight attending is one of the best jobs to have, right? You got an office sky, you got a sky office. You meet new people, right?
Yeah.
You travel the world. You have the ability to travel the world with your benefits. So, to answer your question on how ambitious you have to be, I would say ambitious enough to not allow the next job to impact your lifestyle. So, be as ambitious as you want to be, but always be aware of how the next step would impact your life situation. So, if you take a position in corporate, is that what you really want to do, right? Is that Does that work for you, like on your day to day? Are you just used to the spontaneity of flight attending that when you come in that box time frame of 8 to 5 every day, well, 4 days a week now,
Mhm.
right? Is that something that like fits who you are? Does that
Mhm.
fit the ambitions that you have, right? So I
Mhm.
was saying be ambitious as you can be without interrupting your current lifestyle.
I like that.
Hmm.
So that awareness of what a person wants is like sounds like a key part of it, what you want.
Hmm.
Love to hear it. Any last words you have for people as they navigate this industry?
I'll say stay strong, stay headstrong. Flight attendants specifically. I know there's things that you guys are fighting for. Change is going to come, and I know it's not coming on you guys' timeline like you want, but
Yeah.
always remain positive, always remain grateful, even though it seems hard right now. Change is gonna come. We don't know when, but it can't be dark forever. So I'll say if you are looking to transfer into the corporate side of things, just be prepared for change. Do your research, do your due diligence. Be sure that the transition you want to make is for you, is for your life space at this time. And if you are in that situation where reliability points may be an issue, clean it up. Just do your thing, right? Map out how long you need to be and how long it needs to be for your rolling calendar points to fall off. Look ahead, plan ahead, and be positive.
Yeah, you're definitely an example of taking opportunities as they come. Always appreciate your positivity and your openness. Thanks for coming on.
For sure. No problem. Nice to be here.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Layover Podcast. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow. You can also leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That helps me know what you're enjoying hearing, what you'd like to hear more of, some topics I can factor in for the next episodes coming in the future. We have some really good stuff on the way, so I hope you'll tune in for that. And remember, sometimes you have to lay over to go further.